everybody, Kyle Winjack here, and welcome back to Sound Advice. So today we're going to do something called technical ear training, which is essentially ear training for mixing, specifically for recognizing certain frequency boosts and cuts so that you'll be able to better use those for EQs. Working on your ears is the single best way to improve your mix. This method of ear training was invented by somebody named Jason Corey. You can check out his book, I'll link it in the description. And it was taught to me by somebody named Andrew Mullen, who I studied with at Humber College, and he's fantastic as well. So the way it works is I've loaded some pink noise into Logic with boosts at different frequency, and I'm going to play you the flat noise followed by a boosted frequency, and you have to tell me which one that is. So without further ado, let's go over to Logic. Okay, so in this session, I've got tracks that have a boost at 125 Hz, 250, 500, 1K, 2K, 4K, 8K, and 16K. By the way, you can download this Logic session. There's a link in the description. It's completely free, and I've also included just the stems so that if you don't use Logic, you can import these tracks into whatever DAW you do happen to use. I think one of the best ways to learn this stuff is to just click around and listen to the comparison between the tracks, but we are going to go through some exercises together right now, so stick around. Okay, let's start out just by listening to all the tracks, and these are going to have a 24 dB boost at these frequencies with a Q of 2. So the Q is just the like the width of the frequency band that's being boosted, and 2 is quite narrow. So this is flat. And 125, 250, 500, 1K, 2K, 4K, 8K, and 16K. So pro tip, if you hold down Option while you click solo on a track, it'll switch to only soloing the track that you click on instead of soloing that as well as the one that you're coming from. So for this, that's what you want. You'd have a direct comparison that way without having to fumble around with multiple clicks. So let's have one more listen to these individually, and I'll point out some certain qualities or characteristics that the different boosts bring to the pink noise. So this is flat. And at 125, you just hear like a low resonance, almost a rumble down in the low end there. And then at 250, it turns into more ooh. At 500, it's kind of an O sound. You can hear that O resonating. And then at 1K, it's ah. " 2K is more of an eh. " 4K, E. 8K is sibilant, so an S. And so is 16K, but it's a little bit more piercing. It almost has a bit of a T in there as well. And these are all just like rough guidelines. It's similar to the way you might associate a song to learn your intervals. And in both cases, I think those are kind of crutches, and you don't want to be thinking of them ultimately. But for some people, they're useful starting points. So if you want to think of it that way, that's cool. The other way you can learn these is just by clicking around the session. But the whole goal of this exercise is get to the point where you could hear that something's maybe lacking a certain frequency range where you say, ah, yeah, it needs more 1K, or there's too much 500. And then you won't have to search as much for those EQ settings that you're looking for. You'll just, you'll start to acclimate your ear to those sounds, and they'll just come to you right away. So you might want to listen to that a few times before moving on. And even better, you could click around this session in your DAW and just listen to what each of those boosts brings resonance-wise to the pink noise. And then we're going to have a little test now. So it'll be a blind test. I'll play the flat frequency and then one of the other boosted frequencies, and you have to name what that frequency boost is before I reveal it. All right, let's do it. Flat. And the boost. 1K. Flat. Boost. 8K. Flat. Boost. 125. Flat. Boost. 16K. Flat. Boost. 500. Flat. Boost. 4K. Flat. Boost. 125. Flat. Boost. 250. Flat. Boost. 4K. Flat. Boost. 2K. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing, only instead of boosting by 24 dBs, which is quite a lot, and these boosts are very exaggerated and it's quite obvious what it is, now it's only going to be a 12 dB boost. So it's still pretty significant, but it's going to be a little bit more subtle and a little bit more challenging. So let's start again. Flat. And boost. 250. Flat. Boost. 4K. Flat. Boost. 16K. Flat. Boost. 2K. Flat. Boost. 125. Flat. Boost. 500. Flat. Boost. 250. Flat. Boost. 1K. Flat. Boost. 4K. Flat. Boost. 500. Flat. Boost. 8K. Flat. Boost. 125. And now we'll try that same thing at 9 dB. Flat. Boost. 125. Flat. Boost. 1K. Flat. Boost. 8K. Flat. Boost. 16K. Flat. Boost. 250. Flat. Boost. 500. Flat. Boost. 8K. Flat. And boost. 1K, flat, boost, 16K, flat, boost, 250, flat, boost, 125, flat, boost, 2K, flat, boost, 4K, flat, boost, 1K, flat, boost, 8K. Alright, so if you've made it this far, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this. We're going to do 6 dB boost now. It's going to be a little bit trickier to hear. And then after that, we're going to do a 3 dB boost as well. And that's about the minimum threshold that's actually going to be noticeable in a boost. Here we go. Flat. And boost. 500. Flat. Boost. 4K. Flat. Boost. 2K. Flat. Boost. 8K. Flat. Boost. 125. Flat. Boost. 250. Flat. Boost. 16K. Flat. Boost. 2K. Flat. Boost. 4K. Flat. Boost. 4K. Flat. Boost. 500. Flat. Boost. 16K. Flat. Boost. 125. Alright, let's do it with 3 dB now. Here we go. Flat. Boost. 500. Flat. Boost. 125. Flat. Boost. 16K. Flat. Boost. 8K. Flat. Boost. 250. Flat. Boost. 2K. Flat. Boost. 4K. Flat. Boost. 1K. Alright, there we go. That's technically your training, so feel free to poke around that Logic session or do it in whatever DAW you want. You could also use this as a template with those boosts in place and just import a track of your choosing instead of pink noise, and then you can actually use it on an instrument or a full track. But pink noise is nice because it uses all of the frequency spectrum, not in an equal ratio, but it sort of fits the curve of human hearing. Alright, so I hope you got a lot out of that, and I will see you next time.